Welcome, everybody, to the Working Title Podcast, where we discuss success, life, business, finance, lifestyle, and everything in between. I'm your host, Jared Never Sleeps, and I'm here with a game changer, a history maker in her own right, Fatima Maddox, aka TNT from the Harlem Globetrotters. She is a professional athlete. We've known each other for quite some time. We met back in college. And she's done amazing things in her life, and I'm so grateful and happy to have her on the show. Fatima, how are you today? Also, I called you Fatima Maddox. I'm sorry. Fatima Lister is her new name. She was married a couple years ago. So Fatima Lister, how you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm happy to see you doing so well with your podcast, man. I had a chance to check out some of your other episodes, and you're doing a phenomenal job, man. Keep it up. Thanks for having me, bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So for those of you those people who do not know who you are, break down to us who exactly is Fatima Lister. Who are you? Where are you from? How'd you get here?
Right. Well, I'm from Colorado Springs, where I,
Go Nuggets.
Heavy. Oh yeah, and Broncos. It's hard for me to say that, but yeah. So I got pretty heavy into sports around 12. Basketball was my first love, and then I did some track and field where I did pretty well. Then college, University of New Mexico, ended up transferring to Temple to play for Coach Staley. Following that, I signed with the Houston Comets for a short time. And then I played overseas for 2 years, and now I've been playing with the Harlem Globetrotters I'm going into my 11th season. So, that ages me a little bit, but still, it's a good accomplishment. It's been a really unique journey for sure.
Yeah, that's a blessing. That's a lot. What really attracted you to basketball?
I think at the time it came during a time in my life where I was kind of looking for something to put my energy into. You're 12, you're just kind of, I remember the first time I played basketball, I was roaming around at recess, just looking for something to do. And I stumbled across a court, and there was this one boy on there. And he was tough. He was killing everybody. And, I was kind of looking around and seeing people's reaction to him and, the positive reaction he was getting. And I was like, you know what, that looks fun. And I kind of convinced them to let me play because, there was no girls playing. So I kind of convinced them to let me play. And I was pretty good, like from the very first time. So, it circulated around the school that I had like shown this dude up. And from then on, I think I was kind of hooked because it was something that was helping me find a way to get my positive energy out. It was helping me get out of my bubble. I was very quiet and very reserved. I feel like this basketball helped me develop really quickly. A lot of things that I use to this day. So, I was just kind of hooked on just the whole idea of it.
Now, I know like back in college, you used to play with us at the pavilion. You'd be like the only girl on the court, and like it was just another person on the court. It wasn't like, we didn't take it lightly on you and anything like that, and you contribute to the games. Growing up, was it hard? Did you kind of play with a chip on your shoulder, just most of the time being the only woman on the court?
Yeah, you know what? I learned, even to this day, when you're a female playing in a male-dominated sport, you always have this urge and this desire to prove yourself and this pressure to prove yourself and prove that you are worthy of being on the court with the guys. So, that's something that I've found never changes, like starting off early. I was like, basically begging to play a lot of times. I kind of go up to the court and I just walk up and down the sideline until like people started leaving. Then, they're going to need somebody.
Wow.
And then, they'll let me on the court. And, I did that for a little while. Then they realized that I was, pretty good and I didn't have to do that anymore. But like, say I go to a court, like even now, say I would go to a court where no one really knows me and there's all guys and I'm just the only female. I can see people, kind of looking around and see who they can pick up. And then, I get on the court and kind of, I do enjoy that part, that surprise that they get, from playing with me for the first time. But yeah, I think, as a female, you always have that chip. You always have that pressure to prove you're worthy in sports.
And what's funny is I'm sure a lot of those pickup game courts, you're probably like the only pro athlete there. And they're still
Right.
looking around and trying to find,
Right.
Mike from accounting that see if he wants to play. And let's talk about women's sports, women's basketball. A lot has changed since I'm sure you first started basketball. You have the WNBA, and the training is evolving. I'm going on like these different Instagram pages, and I'm seeing girls dunking a lot more now. And the game has really started to evolve. How do you feel about the current state of women's basketball?
I'm really excited. I think I'm really excited for our youth, because especially young women, because I feel like trainers are training female players in a way that is not as restricted as it was back in the day. Meaning, before, you would train to sharpen your fundamentals. You would train to be a good shooter as a female athlete. You would train to, have a decent dribble. But now they're training in a way that's not, oh, you're a female, train like a female. It's like, no, right. You train athlete. So now, we're getting into more of the skills, our skill set, the moves and things are getting more complicated. And it's not like they can't do it. They're not trained like they can't do it anymore. It's like, oh, well, we're going to teach them a basic crossover. Like, nah, we're going to teach them a drop cross into a hezzy, into a, you know what I mean? So now I feel like trainers are training females as athletes, as weird as that sounds. There's no label on it. There's no title of boy, girl. Like, no, you're an athlete. Tap the glass every time you lay it up. Work on your, how explosive you're going to be. Work on trying to dunk. Like, before, a female wouldn't work on trying to dunk.
Never considered it. Yeah.
Exactly. They're not working on, those explosive muscles that you need in order to be able to dunk. So I think that's just, and that started like when girls are young now. And now you're starting to see them come of age, and you're starting to see that work pay off, where girls are dunking on a regular basis in a game. Like, you never would have seen that before, Girls are slapping the backboard every time they lay it up. Girls are doing very difficult combo moves now. You know what I mean? So I think, I'm excited. I think women's basketball is evolving at a really fast pace. So, I'm excited to see what the future is.
Yeah, the future is very bright for women's basketball. Are there any players that you enjoy watching?
You know what?
Besides yourself.
Right. You know what? So I try to watch some of the girls like in high school. It's still not as much of the highlights as there are the boys on the female side, but there have been some good pages and good platforms that are trying to showcase some of the women's games. But mostly I'm exposed to the females in college now. So, some of these teams have some phenomenal players, like South Carolina.
Yeah, they're always good. They're always good.
Top to bottom, they have a very good collection of female basketball players. They just signed a young lady who dunking in the game, and she'll be there next year. And I think they probably have the number one recruiting class again. So yeah, it's mostly college. Of course, I'm watching UConn, and they have they got some really good players. So yeah, it's mostly college that I've been watching, but I'm really excited. I'm excited for women's basketball, and just as much as they're evolving, and as much as like players are very tech savvy now for themselves. Before, you kind of had to rely on, oh, is the media going to show our games? Are they going to show our highlight? honestly, the players have the following and the platform now
Yeah.
to do that work on their own.
Yeah, a lot of these kids in high school have like verified Instagram accounts, and they just, someone edits their highlights up and puts it out, and you got 100,000 views, and coaches are watching you.
Yeah. So I mean, social media has really changed the game, and hopefully, the young ladies will continue to use that in their favor, to help them out.
So for some of the young
froze
people,
a little bit.
Oh, can you hear me now? Am I good?
Uh-oh.
You got me? Am I here?
Oh yeah, there you go.
Okay, cool. 3, 2. So for some of the younger people who are watching, people who are aspiring to be pro athletes, tell me some advice you can give them. Like, what does it take to become someone that plays basketball at a high level?
I think, I can only, speak of my journey really. And for me, I think the number one thing that got me over the hump in terms of becoming an elite athlete, and I think it's more so you have to be self-motivated to a certain extent, because if you can't push yourself to practice beyond practice while no one's looking, practice on the things that you're weak because you've been totally honest with yourself about your game. And you're like, okay, well, I'm weak in this area. If you can't do those things, more than likely someone else won't be able to convince you to do those things either. So I think for me, I was never satisfied. Yeah, because in high school, I reached a point where I felt like, I was pretty dominant on the court in the league that I was playing in. But then I started to think like, man, there's a lot of people in the world that play basketball.
Mm-hmm. Even now, more people.
Right. So I was starting to think like I'm competing against them. I'm competing against a girl that I don't see, who might be a little taller than me. She might be a little faster than me. She might be in the gym right now. So I'm competing against her. So even in practices, I went as hard as I could. And every single day I wanted to feel like I got better at something. I don't care if it's, I understood team defense better today. I was a better free throw shooter today. I didn't care what it was, but I wanted to leave feeling like I was better at something. So I would always just practice like that. I practice like I was the number 2 player trying to catch the number 1 player every single practice. And that's how I thought. So I was self-motivated in that way. And I think that everyone needs a little bit of self-motivation to become great at something, because other people, they might hype you up. They might tell you you're this, you're that. But really it's, when you're looking in the mirror and you're like, yo, I got it. I have this goal and I'm going to get to it no matter what. And it's just that one-on-one,
So my philosophy on life, business, sports, whatever you're trying to do, I feel like it's 90% mental and 10% everything else. Just to have that kind of understanding early. What do you think was your biggest influence? Like, how did you learn that part of it, the mindset of it, that aspect to even understand how to practice and, how to really look at the game and how to even improve?
I think I've just always been a very observant person. And I watched other people, even before basketball, I watched other people because I wanted to learn from mistakes without having to make the mistakes myself.
Yeah.
So it's like, I always watched other people like, oh, I saw them do this and that didn't quite work. So I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? So I've always been like just super observant for whatever reason. I would maybe call myself a little bit weird when I was a kid because I was that observant of other people and like what was going on around me and things like that. So I think that was mainly what it was. And, I just I didn't come from much. So I never had like that sense of entitlement that a lot of kids have. And they think that things are just supposed to be theirs. And I knew like, no, I want to have this. I have to do this. So I think, just growing up, even though you know, I don't think it's a great thing that you have to grow up not having much. I wish no one had to grow up not having much, but there's also, lessons in that. And there are really great life lessons in that. So that was one of the lessons that I took, and that really helped me in life in terms of reaching my goals, really.
Yeah, we can all definitely learn from adversity because it builds character, right?
Yeah.
If you don't really go through anything, then you just don't really get those lessons. So talk to me about, what do you think in your career, what is the biggest L you ever taken that you were able to come back from?
Career?
Biggest L.
Okay.
Because the thing with social media, everyone, like, they show their highlights, right? They show their highlight reels, but like, I think it's also important to see, like, all right, where do we take our L's in life, and how do we bounce back from them joints?
For sure. I think the biggest L, and I put it like this: the first time basketball ever broke my heart was when I got cut from the Houston Comets, which was a WNBA team.
Mm-hmm.
And it was such a shock because, I've gone through my life always being, like, if not the best on the team, one of the best on the team, always, So that was the first time I felt like basketball rejected me, if you will.
Yeah.
So that was like my biggest heartbreak from basketball. And I considered, like, not playing anymore. And I was like, I was probably like 2 or 3 weeks after that. And I'm like, man, I'm not playing anymore. I'm going to use my degree that I just got from Temple, and I'm going to go and work at an agency. And then, thank God, one of my former teammates was like, hey, come and play on this semi-pro team with me for 2 weeks. I'm like, I'm good. She's like, no, she's like, we're going to go and play. Because that's around the time when some of the bigger colleges would have a semi-pro team, I guess, come and play against their team, like a preseason.
Yeah.
So we were playing teams like Duke and, all the big teams. She's like, it'll be fun. She's like, you get $100 a game. Why not? And I'm like, all right. So we did that, and the agent ended up seeing me play. And he comes up to me and he's like, oh, I'm so surprised you're not in the WNBA or overseas. And I kind of explained to him what happened. And 2 weeks later, he had me a job overseas playing Euro. So, thank goodness she convinced me to go and play those exhibition games. And, it kind of revived my basketball career, or just like my own, I don't want to say self-esteem when it came to basketball, because that was a big blow. Blow, because I'd always been like Miss Basketball, everything. So, that was a big knock. So I think that was probably my biggest L. Just getting cut from that team was tough.
Yeah. What do you think would have happened if you would have just quit right then and there? How would life be different right now?
I would probably working a 9 to 5 somewhere. I feel like at some point I would have found my way back to basketball in some capacity. Maybe not playing. I don't know. I don't know all the people. If people have ever been in a breakup, after a breakup, you swear off all things relationship.
Yeah.
Until you kind of calm down, and maybe that wound heals a little bit. So I don't know. I think basketball is one of my callings in life. So I might have ended up playing somewhere at some point.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you didn't. You never stopped. Because I remember matter of fact, I think you got cut the same way I got cut from the Temple team. I remember having that conversation with you, and like, that was me. Yeah. I swore off basketball. I was like, I said, I'm done. I'm gonna go start a business.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking, but I guess the lesson of that is, like, you just got to keep going sometimes. And then, good things came from it. You became the ninth woman in Harlem Globetrotter history to make the team, and you got to see the world and play basketball doing it. Now, then we had just last year the pandemic happened. Talk to me about how much that kind of changed your life as far as you go from like going all over the place, being on the go, to like just sitting home, really just being in quarantine.
Yeah. That was a very big mental challenge. You would think it would be a physical challenge, but it was more like a mental challenge because, now you have to refocus your everyday life. At first everyone's just kind of like, oh yeah, we're all chilling.
Recess,
then months start going by and you're like, all right, well, I got to figure something out. I think what helped me is I have a 3-year-old daughter. So she requires a lot of my attention too. So I think that helped me with just structuring my day and not sitting around being as idle as you would think,
Right.
So that helped a lot. Physically, I don't know. I would work out as much as I could, like maybe in the front yard. I mean, it's not much you could do, especially, for basketball. The courts were closed.
Nobody could play.
Some courts people were taking down the rim. So it's not like you could even like sneak and play. Not that I would want to. I was one of those. I was, I ain't going
we don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. But it was tough, but I think it was a valuable lesson. And the fact that people need to, or should, if they could, start an online business of some sort of online income is, never a bad thing, because the internet, as Jared never stops, always preaches, the internet does not close. So, I think that helped me in terms of just kind of refocusing on my clothing line, just looking into some other things that were going on online, looking into the stock market. So I really just took that time to, try to gather information about different things that were going on in the world.
So, and that's a great segue for me. Let's talk about your online business. You have a clothing line. It's called Check Rock. If you can show the sweatshirt so we can see it on camera.
Yeah.
Tell me about Check Rock. What's all about? What does it mean? Who is it for? And why did you start it?
Yeah. Well, before I start that, I have to tell everyone what a great marketing mind Mr. Jared right here is.
Oh, thank you. I'm blushing.
Yeah. He has several, courses and things like that, and tidbits on his Instagram that he gives out. And I mean, they're complete jewels. And I wouldn't have started my clothing line had it not been for him. So thank you, Jared. I always, I'm always telling you, man, thank you. I appreciate you putting that fire under me to get it going. Check Rock. Check Rock is a term that basketball players know well. That means let's start the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to do Check Rock because it gave me another platform to get positive messages out to our youth, and to specifically to women and girls. So, this is just another way for me to use one of my abilities that I have been blessed with, which is basketball, to get a positive message out to the world. And, I love designing. I went to school for creative advertising.
You're a pretty good drawer too. You're a pretty good artist that most people don't know.
Yeah, I'm one of the artsy fartsy kind of people. So if I can find ways to put my love for art together with basketball and with being, and with empowering women, I mean, I was like, I had to do it. So I'm having so much fun with it, just coming with different concepts and, learning different algorithms for marketing. And I'm all into that kind of stuff. So I'm excited for the brand. The brand had slowed down a bit during the pandemic, just due to me trying to figure out what was going on and what would be the best way to retarget and refocus my marketing. So I'm excited for things that I have to come. I've been working really hard on some new concepts and things like that. I'm also excited because I love apps. I love creating apps. So I'm in the process of creating a pickup basketball app.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, I got some cool stuff coming down the pipeline. Yeah. So it'll be fun. So yeah, check out checkrock.com. Come check me out. I have everything from hoodies to artwork on there. You know, it's kind of a one-stop shop for people who love cool stuff. So come check me out.
Can we get a coupon code for the podcast? Use coupon code working title to receive.
I got you. Say less.
Yeah, we're gonna put that in the description of this video. Now let's get back to Callie Rose, your beautiful 3-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Now, talk to me about the balance between being a pro athlete and also being a parent, because I mean, one job's enough, right? So just raising a child as well, it can't be easy. So how do you find the balance in that? How do you really hone in on things?
It takes a lot of juggling, a lot of balance, and also a lot of communication. It's me and my husband and my daughter, and we live here in California. So he's very important. He's a very important part of that whole balancing act, because he's very supportive of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows that I love basketball, and he knows that I have, I look at it as more than basketball, and I feel like I am making a change just in the world and people's lives. So, it's bigger than basketball. I know that's kind of a one of
cliche
the trendy things.
No, but it's true though. I mean, you're making an impact. I even, we just had Halloween. I see all the girls with like as you for Halloween.
That was dope. That was dope. But yeah, it really takes a lot of teamwork for us to make sure. Well, I guess for me, it's really important for me to feel like if I'm gonna be on the road, making kids happy, making families happy, making positive influence in little girls' lives, then I need to feel like I'm doing that for my own child as well. Because,
that's a bar.
You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it doesn't make sense that I would, leave to go out and inspire the world when, I have a key part of the world living with me. So, I've been able to balance it in a way where I feel like I'm still a pretty darn good mom, for sure. And I'm still, making an impact in the world of basketball and in the world in general. So, once it starts not making sense, then, then that's my cue to leave. But for now, it's been good.
Now, is she hooping already, or?
You said, is she hooping?
Yeah.
I mean, if we go to the gym, she'll want to dribble around. She'll want to shoot. But she's kind of like your traditional 3-year-old, but she is really taken to like art, which I love, like you said, So I've been kind of trying to nurture that. I'm really not the kind of parent that's gonna, push her in any way, and in any direction. I want it to be organic, just like it was for me. Like, basketball was organic for me. And I think that's what made, because no one had to tell me to practice, or no one had to tell me to go dribble. Those were things that I wanted to do. And I want her to find whatever that is for her, whatever's gonna, speak to her on the inside and say, hey, come practice me. I want her to do that.
That's the way to do it, because a lot of these I'm sure you've seen a lot of these AAU parents be taking it really overboard, and it's just like, are you playing or is your kid playing? Like, what are you doing this for? Like,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you'll burn a kid out. You'll burn a kid out if you're making them do something. And I think another thing is I feel like it would be okay for some of these parents if they made it more fun. That's another reason why I liked basketball, because it was fun. I didn't feel like I was doing drills. I didn't feel like I was, you know what I mean? It was fun.
It
So
doesn't
if
feel
you
like
can,
it doesn't feel like work.
right, right. So if you can find a way to balance that and make a kid feel like, oh, hey, it's fun to get better, in a way that's not toxic or negative or, demeaning to them, and you got something.
Yeah, I think that's extremely important. Where do you see your life after basketball?
Um, well, what my plans are right now, right? People say that God laughs at our plans, right? But what my plans are right now are I am becoming a user interface designer.
Oh wow.
Because I love creating apps. I love creating app concepts. I love learning new design, editing software, things like that. So I eventually want to create my own apps that I could either keep or sell, or so that's my long term. I think I'll end up in the corporate world here for maybe a couple years, just kind of depending on how it goes. But eventually, I want to create apps. Like I said, I'm going to be on the user interface side. My husband is a senior software engineer.
Oh,
So
awesome.
yeah. So he's a pretty good coder. So hopefully we'll be able to make this, a family thing and come up with some really cool apps you guys will be seeing here soon.
Yeah, I mean that space is just growing with I guess the new metaverse that's happening,
Oh
and
yeah. Exactly. I mean, tech is taking over the world even more. It had already taken it over, a good amount, but now it's really ramping up.
have you seen more of it expanding? Because obviously you travel a lot. Have you seen it expanding more in other areas of the world versus the United States markets?
In terms of what? In terms of just seeing
I guess like
technology?
the influence of tech in other markets in the world versus like United States market. Like what differences have you seen, if you've seen any?
I think it's more so just more of it's being used in it, and people are becoming more dependent on it, especially in countries where like we might go where, it's not as tech savvy. But now, you can't go anywhere without people being dependent on tech in some way. So I think it's just people are becoming more knowledgeable about it because it is taking over, and you need to know it in order to function and navigate in the world. So I think it's just more of it being used. And I think people are becoming more savvy with the stock market as well, which I
Yeah,
think is,
and
yeah,
all the other markets as well.
the crypto market. A lot of people are doing Forex.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's kind of driving it to become more popular. The more people know about it, the faster it'll move. So
Yeah, I mean, with the internet, it seems like the world is just getting smaller and smaller and smaller
yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
Now I think you've probably been to every continent, right? Besides maybe Antarctica. Have you been to Antarctica?
I haven't. No, I
Okay,
haven't.
I think that's the only place you haven't been. What's some of your favorite places in the world?
Some of my favorite places. I really like Spain because I think they have some of the most beautiful beaches. Of course, the Caribbean islands. All of those little islands like Antigua and like St. Thomas. Some of the most beautiful beaches that you will ever see. So I like that. But I also like places like New Zealand. I think I like some of the places that I got a chance to actually learn about their culture. We got like the real culture. Someone like pull you aside and like, oh well, this is why this is this.
Mm.
And I like that. And they also like did a really cool like tribal like ceremony for us, like a welcome ceremony to the land. And they took us on some of their sacred land and stuff like that. And I was like,
Wow.
oh yeah, yeah. So that was really cool. Monaco's really nice. If you ever get a chance to go to Monaco, it's expensive, but you'll
Mm.
see why. Beautiful. So yeah, you know, some of that, some of the other more popular places, Eiffel Tower, things like that. That was cool. Dubai was cool.
You say it so like just casual. Yeah, Dubai is, it was all right.
I know. I see that you're getting spoiled. That's the problem.
What what was like your most I guess perspective changing travel experience that you've had?
I think it was the first time I went out of the country, which was to play basketball in Sweden. You know, and becoming that instant like foreigner, that instant, you know, person who can't communicate as well as everyone. I think it just opened my mind up to like um becoming a better communicator, becoming more open to other people's culture. Um just a lot of stuff. I think, you know, that first time out of the United States to somewhere that they don't really speak English or English isn't their first language, I think it just opens your mind to how big the world is. Because I feel like in America, sometimes we live in a bubble. You know, we're in this little bubble and it's almost like nothing else exists. But there's a lot of culture out there, and then the world is a big place. Even though, like you said, the internet makes it seem small, but to get on a flight and sit on a flight for 13 hours to get to another place, kind of like, all right, yeah,
Yeah,
the
right.
world's big. Yeah, the
Right.
world's big.
And until they put everything in the metaverse and you just put on some glasses
All right,
and
go
just
in
be
someone's
there.
living room in China. Yeah.
And from going from starting off in Colorado to fast forward and you've been all over the place playing basketball, how has travel really changed your perspective on life?
Um, I think it has kind of made me want to just appreciate little things, you know, stop and enjoy the moment. And because, you know, you don't get time back. So with travel, sometimes we go somewhere and I know I'll probably never be back there. So, you know, it's really important to just stop and appreciate the moment, appreciate, you know, the culture of whatever, wherever that is, the scenery of whatever, wherever that is. And I think it's the same with life. We don't get any of this time back. Don't get any of this time back with people that you love. So, you know,
Mm,
take a minute to appreciate them, appreciate your the fact that you get to experience them in this life, and have a good time together, and just, you know, enjoy life together. You know what I mean? So
yeah, always stay in gratitude.
yeah,
How would you define success?
I think success is like tailor made for everyone, and everyone's idea of success is or should be different, and it should be tailored to their life. So um, for me, success is, or it has changed. You know, before success was, okay, I want to be able to use basketball to, you know, impact girls around the world. And it's changed slightly in the way that now I have a girl. You know, I have someone who I want to help um, become a great person, a great woman. You know, um, so and if I'm able to sit back at the end of the day and feel like I've contributed to doing that, then that's success for me. You know, so I think everyone, you know, your definition of success should really be custom tailored to your life and what you hold important and what your, you know, goals are and how you are trying to change the world or what impact you're trying to leave on the world. So yeah, I define it as like, you know, for me, I just want to leave the world feeling like it was not, it wasn't like in vain. Like my existence wasn't in vain almost. I know that sounds a little bit, but I just want to feel like I'm making the most of being here. And when I leave, something that I have contributed is going to live on. You know what I mean?
Legacy.
Yeah, for sure.
I think I was listening to an audio by this guy named Earl Nightingale. And this is the best definition I've heard of success. He says, success is the continuous progression of a worthy ideal. And, your definition really was right on par with that, just to really continuously progress of this ideal you have to an impact. And you're definitely impacting people around the world with your gift. So thanks for doing that. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to wrap this interview up. Where could we find you online, and where could we find out where to buy your merchandise, your clothing line?
Okay. So yeah, you can check me out on either Facebook at TNT Lister or IG TNT_18_. Also, come and shop with me over at checkrock.com. You can also thank Jared for helping me come up with such an awesome name. And like I said, I have everything on there from hoodies, hats to artwork. And what I've been trying to do more is just put meaningful things on there that are meaningful to me. So I hope you guys see something that you like. If you didn't see something you like, don't worry, more stuff's coming and you will find something you like. So come check me out.
Thank you so much for this interview. I appreciate it. That was Fatima Lister. I got it right the second time.
Yes,
AKA TNT. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate it.
All right, Eric. Take care, man.
Take care. Well, that wraps up this episode. Make sure you like and subscribe to this channel. It helps us find more people we can service with our content. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to the next interview. Love you guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Thanks, Fatima.
No problem, bro.